Can $20-ish trekking poles actually be any good? What is going on, fellow backpackers? My name is Dan, and today I am taking a first look at the Cascade Mountain Tech trekking poles. Now, these are most commonly referred to as the Costco trekking poles because you can buy these at Costco, but you can also get them on Amazon, so I will include a link to that Amazon page if you want to look into them further. So in this video, I'm going to talk about some of the features and specs of these poles, as well as my overall first impressions of them. This is not going to be a long-term review because we just bought these poles a couple months ago, but I'll talk about what my first impressions are, as well as a few of the downsides. So I actually bought these poles for my wife because before these, she was using the extremely crappy twist lock style trekking poles. I would never wish these things upon my worst enemy. If I can give you just one piece of trekking pole advice, let it be this: never ever buy twist lock style trekking poles. I don't care how cheap they are or what they promise, they suck. And these instead use the quick clamp style of lock, but we will get into that a bit later. Now, these are the aluminum version of these poles, and they weigh 10.4 ounces each, and they only cost $23. 23 bucks. That's pretty crazy. But you can also buy a carbon fiber version of these poles, which weighs 7.8 ounces per pole, so you will save 5.2 ounces overall for the pair, and they cost an extra 20 bucks, $43, which is still absolutely crazy for carbon fiber trekking poles. As far as the handles, you can either choose EVA foam or you can choose cork. Now, if you're new to trekking poles, you might be thinking, cork? Why in the hell would you buy cork for a trekking pole handle? I thought the exact same thing myself when I first got into trekking poles, but I've been using cork for some time on these REI trekking poles, which I absolutely love. And cork actually has a lot of advantages to it. It conforms really well to your hand, and it also wicks away sweat extremely well, so your hands aren't extremely sweaty as you're hiking. And this type of cork is much denser than what you would find in a typical cork board, so they hold up extremely well. On these REI trekking poles, I've had these things for several years now, and I've had them in rain. I've had the pole itself standing in a puddle all night long, and they have held up remarkably well. So cork really is quite awesome. But if cork isn't your thing, then like I said, you can also choose foam. Speaking of foam, they also include a foam handle beneath the main handle, and the advantage of that is if you're hiking up a really steep hill, if you're using this main handle, then your arms are probably going to be all the way up here somewhere. But if you choke up on the trekking pole and use this handle, then your arms will be in a much more comfortable position. And of course, they include some straps on the handle, and inside of that, they have some micro fleece lining, very comfortable. And like most trekking poles, the tip is made out of tungsten carbide, which is very strong. And perhaps the best feature are these quick clamp locks. They are fantastic. They work very smoothly, really hold the trekking pole in place very well. And what I especially like about them is this little thumb screw. So you may have to adjust this a little bit, increase or decrease the tension to make sure you get a nice firm lock on your poles, but this thumb screw makes it very easy to do. Contrast that to these REI trekking poles that I have, which have an actual screw. It's still possible to do, but a little bit more of a pain in the butt. I don't know if they've updated these since then. They may have, but in any case, I really like having this thumb screw. As far as what they come with, they obviously come with two poles, and inside this little bag of goodies, they also include a couple trekking pole baskets, some snow baskets, some tips that you can put on to protect the tip of your pole when you're not using it, and this little boot-like guy that you can also put on the tip of it if you're walking on concrete or pavement. Now, personally, I don't really care about any of this crap, but what I do like is this little carrying case bag that they include. It's actually quite handy when you're traveling, so you can stick your poles in here and give them a little bit of extra protection from damage. As far as my first impression of these things, they really are an outstanding value. If I had known about these things before I bought my REI poles, I never would have bought these things. I definitely would have saved some money and just got these instead. They really are built well. The quality seems fine. I don't really have any reason to believe that they're just gonna fall apart in a couple of months. So yeah, outstanding value. That being said, there are a few downsides of these poles. The first one is the cork that they use. So when I compare that to the cork on these REI poles, the REI poles feel much denser compared to these. In fact, I feel like if I just take my fingernail and kind of dig into it or scrape too hard, then I'm going to start tearing some chunks off. I don't want to do that, so I'm not going to try too hard. But I don't know, it just doesn't feel nearly as high quality as the ones on these REI poles. Now, it's possible that it's just because I've been using these for so long and I've been, squeezing them as I've been hiking, and it's kind of changed the texture of them, and maybe these will do the same. I don't know. Time will tell. But yeah, my first impressions of this cork just leaves me a little bit concerned. The second downside is the somewhat confusing markings they have on these poles. So let me show you what they're like on the REI pole. So on the bottom pole, all you have to do is extend it all the way out to basically where it says stop. And then on the top pole, it has the actual measurement markings in centimeters. Super simple, super easy. But with these things, they have the same exact markings on the bottom pole and on the top pole. Now, after measuring these, I did figure out that if you want to set it at, let's say, 105 centimeters, just set both poles at the exact same marking, and it will be 105 centimeters. So, okay, in reality, not that confusing, but I'm a simple man, and I can't quite understand the complicated inner workings of trekking pole measurement markings. And the third and final downside are the fact that these quick lock clamps just feel kind of cheap. When you clamp down on them, you can just feel them kind of moving a little bit and stretching, but in reality, they have not actually slipped on me. They lock perfectly fine, and I don't have any true concerns about them actually breaking. But when you compare them to something like these REI trekking poles, which are also made out of plastic, these just feel so much more solid. Now, I don't believe that you actually need to have some like metal trekking pole clamps like they do on some of the more expensive Black Diamond ones. Plastic really seems to be just fine. But again, just comparing these two, and this one feels just a little bit cheaper. No true concerns, but just feels kind of cheap. So in summary, if you are looking for a super cheap pair of trekking poles that are actually good quality, then seriously, look no further than these things. Just go buy them right now. They are absolutely amazing. I have been very happy with these, and maybe in the future I will do a longer term review to see how well they have held up, but so far I've been super impressed. Well, that about does it. Stick around for a few bloopers, and if you haven't already, consider clicking that subscribe button, and of course, the next time you're out there on the trail, have fun out there. Can I start talking now? I need some tables. 5.2 ounces. I could probably say all of that better because I don't know what I said or if it made any sense whatsoever. Before I bought my I'm falling. My dog is giving me the evil eye. I'm being so picky. REI poles. So what I really like about these is, open up. They weigh 10 point something ounces. Don't forget to do something that you wouldn't want to forget to do because I'm forgetful and we're all forgetful. Have fun. His arm fell off.